Next on All Access.
The 71-yarder. As soon as you hit it, did you know you hit it?
A lot of times with punts, you don't even feel it come off your foot if you hit it really, really good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I hit it, and the returner decided to not catch it, so gave me a few extra yards on the roll.
Murray tries to scramble out of the pocket, away from the rush, and the Dolphins get him, knock the ball off him. Another 35 yards, he can score for a touchdown.
Coach Fairbanks was an organizational expert, and he never said no. He said, if you can do that, go ahead and do it. You can do it over here, So and that really flows through to what we've done at the Patriots in the last 20 years. We don't put people in little boxes. If you can do something and help, great, do it.
What do we need to see going forward against the Miami Dolphins?
I think they're right. I think the Dolphins are really good. I think their roster, I think Brian Flores is doing a fantastic job. They are very banged up.
You know that saying, it's not just who you play, but it's when you play them.
Yeah.
I think this is a good spot for the Patriots on the when.
Yeah, the Patriots are looking to go in there and ruin Miami's season, and I think they're going to do it.
New England must settle for a split during their West Coast trip, once again falling below 500 for the season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriots All Access, presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. The Patriots were pretty much dominated by the Rams and losing their 7th game of the year. With 3 games left in the regular season, there are some realities that have set in. For the first time in 11 years, an NFL record, New England will not be division champions of the AFC East. For the first time in 17 years, also an NFL record, the Patriots will not finish the season with double-digit victories. Playoffs? There's still a chance, but they are remote. Well, here in our Bob's Discount Furniture Studios with Mike Reese and Paul Perillo. All right, here's the question I have right out of the gate. What is the mindset that the Patriots have going into the Miami game?
Yeah, it's interesting because these guys, a lot of the veterans, Mike, haven't really ever been in this. And Matthew Slater even said as much. They haven't been in these kinds of situations where they have, I don't want to say nothing to play for because there's always something to play for, even if the playoffs are a remote possibility. But I do think that they look back, Mike, to last year. That last game, the Patriots had a lot to play for, hosting the Miami Dolphins to try to get that bye. And Brian Flores really got his Dolphins up to play. They played a great game, and they came away with an upset win. I think the Patriots remember that. And maybe they want to turn the tables.
And I keep thinking of how spoiled we are here in New England, as you mentioned, Steve, right at the top here of, 3 games left in the season, knowing that you're not going to probably be in the postseason. It's so different now. I think Stephon Gilmore said something early in the week that caught my eye. He said every time he goes out on the field, he's playing for the guy next to him. And I think it's sort of remembering that if you're a player. It's also remembering that football's supposed to be fun, and it's a privilege to play the game. I also think about why they're in this position. And I think there's a lot to unpack there. And when Bill Belichick starts to do that, he'll realize there's quite a bit of work to be done.
And we'll talk about why later on in the show. But these next 3 games, what are you looking at? These next 3 games, what do you expect to see in these next 3 games? What do you want to see?
Yeah, I would like to see a continuation of what we've started to see, I think, already. And that's getting more and more of these younger players more experience, figuring out, identify, Steve, which players you think are going to be worth putting a nucleus around. The Kyle Duggars of the world, Chase Winovich, Damian Harris. There's enough young guys that I think have played significant roles. Josh Uche would be another one. Let's continue to get them work. Let's get them up to speed. And then, next year going forward, you maybe have a young nucleus that you say, I feel pretty good about X amount of players. Now we just have to augment that.
And I'm going to probably state the obvious here. What I want to see is no major injuries. Like the idea that you might have a guy that's a core guy that has a serious injury in a game that doesn't have big implications, on your season. So no injuries, to me, that's the first victory for a lot of those key guys.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Don't go far. We'll see you a little later on in the show.
A return to the Southern California Pleasure Palace, with the Patriots becoming the first team to play consecutive road games in the same stadium in the span of 5 days in 88 years, not since the 1932 Portsmouth Spartans. Pretty quickly, it became apparent there would be little pleasure and more pain.
And he begins with a play fake to Akers and a bootleg to the right, double clutching, throws to the open tight end Higbee, who turns upfield across the 40 out of a tackle, and then lowers the shoulders and fights to the far sideline. Takes the handoff, starts up the middle, runs it to the left, out of a hit across to the 35-30 to the 25-20. McCourty tries to get an angle and wrestles him out of bounds.
Hey, come on! Come on! Hey, watch the ball! Watch the ball!
Cup emotion, Goff trying to sneak and leaps and extends the football to the play, and he broke it. It's a touchdown for LA.
Undrafted corner Miles Bryant made the play of the night for New England, giving the Patriots hope.
Goff drops back looking that way, rears back and throws a low pass behind Woods. It's intercepted by Miles Bryant.
First one. Hold on to that.
But New England couldn't capitalize. 4 trips into the red zone, and they could manage only 3 points. Not enough. It leaves the Patriots 1-1 on their West Coast road trip, and on the outside looking in for the postseason.
Wide receiver N'Keal Harry had his best game as a Patriot, only 3 catches, but totaled 49 yards. He certainly flashed glimpses of that talent that New England saw in drafting him in the first round last year. On the other side of the ball is Miles Bryant, the latest undrafted corner to make a name as a Patriot. His tremendous interception was a highlight in LA, but his snaps have increased of late, and he's one to keep an eye on for the final 3 games.
Coming up on All Access.
We chat with Patriots punter Jake Bailey.
I need you to share with me your secret. What is your secret to landing those punts inside the 20?
Matthew Slater and Justin Bethel.
And later, we profile longtime Patriots staffer Ernie Adams.
I got a great job. The way Bill put it to me when I started was you figure out what you can do to help us win and do it.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of the New England Patriots. By Gillette Pro Glide and Pro Glide Gel, 5 blades and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots, proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off.
Welcome back to All Access presented by GEICO. It's a 1-game season for New England as they travel to Miami for an all-important division game. Dan Roach checks in with an update on the Patriots' mindset heading into Sunday.
Time expiring in LA. The Patriots fall below the 500 mark.
A disappointing end to their LA trip. And for the first time since 2002, a Patriots team has 7 losses.
It's challenging. It's new ground, new territory for me as a pro, and I'm trying to take it in stride. You know, my message to the guys would be to, we got to finish what we started.
The Pats have been going hard for over 2 straight months, so this past weekend provided some rest, but also with a bad taste in their mouths.
It was nice, but also a little frustrating at times. So, but good to step away for a little bit and try to clear your mind.
It's on to Miami and the 8-5 Dolphins, a team the Pats beat in Week 1 here in Foxborough. And yes, the Patriots' playoff hopes are slim, but it doesn't change their mentality.
In my 11th year, I'm not going to take any game for granted, no matter what happens the rest of this season. So I think as an older guy, we all have that approach, and we're going to pass that down through this locker room.
The Miami Dolphins. That's the first focus. It's a good football team, and it's going to be a big challenge. We obviously know each other very well. These second division games are always harder.
And finally, despite throwing for a total of 272 yards in the past 3 games, with only 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions while getting sacked 8 times, Bill Belichick has been adamant that Cam's his starting quarterback. And Josh McDaniels had this to say this week.
I couldn't ask anything more of him, and I feel very comfortable going into each week, and hopefully we can improve and make progress this week as a group and play our best football down there in Miami.
Cam Newton has 11 rushing touchdowns this season. 1 more and he'll tie the Patriots' all-time franchise record for quarterbacks in a season. By the way, Newton has the NFL all-time mark. He had 14 in 2011. For Patriots All Access, I'm Dan Roach.
In just his 2nd season in the league, punter Jake Bailey might be the best at his position. Last week against Los Angeles, he had punts of 65 and 71 yards. His 46.1 net average leads the league. He's dropped 23 punts inside the 20-yard line. And of his 40 punts, opponents have only gained 46 total yards all year. Oh, and also kicks off and is the team's holder.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, everyone. And joining me now is Jake Bailey. We just saw some eye-popping numbers from this guy sitting next to me, Jake Bailey. How's it going for you so far?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Let me ask you this. What's the biggest difference between year 1 and year 2 for you?
The biggest difference, I think, has just been comfortability, knowing where I fit in on this team and just the guys around me, and just coming to work every day with them and knowing where I fit in and just really gelling with them. It's been great, like gelling with these guys on special teams.
Yeah, you're gelling just fine. Coming off that Rams game, you had a 71-yarder, you had a 65-yarder, and a lot of the talk, you heard Bill Belichick talk about Johnny Hecker. Yeah, Johnny Hecker this, Johnny Hecker that. A lot of love for Johnny Hecker. Did you take a lot of pride in going up against Johnny Hecker against the Rams?
Yeah, anytime I get to go against any big-name guy, it's really fun, and it's an added challenge for me. And, anytime any of those punts happen, it's just cool to see guys like Matt and Justin down there covering it and really have no return yards, too. So it's props to them because they're making my job really, really easy.
The 71-yarder, as soon as you hit it, did you know you hit it?
Kinda. It's a lot of times with punts, you don't even feel it come off your foot if you hit it really, really good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I hit it, and the returner decided to not catch it, so it gave me a few extra yards on the roll, which was nice.
I need you to share with me your secret. What is your secret to landing those punts inside the 20?
Matthew Slater and Justin Bethel. That's the secret.
Talk about those guys, because they do a good job of covering, but you got to still place it inside the 20-yard line. A lot of times it's down to the 1 or 2 yard line.
Yeah. A lot of the time it's just putting the ball in a good place for them to make a good play. Mm-hmm. So it's something we practice, trying to get the ball close to the sidelines, but in a spot where they're comfortable enough to round the corner and make a play on it. So I'd say they're 2 of the best to ever do it, and I'm lucky to have them on my team.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to go back to the Chargers game. Did I see Cam Newton trying to teach you how to... I mean, right. What was that all about?
He thought we should maybe bring it back, so I was trying to help him out. I don't know.
Oh, you were trying to help him out?
No, he was helping me out, was what was happening.
All right, so I need you to help me out. Is there a technique to this? It's called dabbing.
That's what it's called. I'm still trying to learn, Steve, so I'll let you know.
Well, give me one. Give me one anyway. Great job dabbing, by the way.
Thanks.
Jake Bailey, our guest. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this.
I'm Lauren Spencer with your Week 15 Patriots Social Media Minute. The NFL's My Cause, My Cleats initiative will be ongoing through the end of the season, but Patriots players have already begun showing off the causes closest to their hearts on the field. Devin McCourty is once again a nominee for the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year award. The reasons why he is deserving of the honor are countless, and the impact he has on all those he comes in contact with is immeasurable.
I want the people to know how much an inspiration Devin is to the children in my neighborhood.
Preseason basketball tipped off in the NBA this week, and although Patriots players can't be sitting courtside to cheer on their fellow Boston athletes this year, they're still showing support for each other on social. Stephon Gilmore and the Celtics' Jason Tatum conducted a jersey swap last week and documented the exchange on their Instagram stories. That's all for this week's Patriots Social Media Minute. I'm Lauren Spencer.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Time now to sit down with Coach Belichick, and Coach joins me now. Coach, before we get to last week's game and then ultimately the Dolphins game coming up, I want you to touch on Ray Perkins and the impact that he has had on your career, as we heard about Coach Perkins' passing this past week.
Yeah, I was very sad to hear about Ray's passing. He had a big impact on my career when he hired me in 1979 to be a special teams coach for the Giants, and I learned an awful lot from Coach Perkins. He was young, as was I. I think he was maybe 36, 37, and I was, about 20, 26. So learned a lot about coaching from Ray. Ray loved the kicking game, and that was great for me as a special teams coach. And so we were able to, be pretty competitive in those areas when I was there with the Giants. So. I really enjoyed working for him. Really have a ton of respect for Coach Perkins, and our sympathies go out to his family. He had a big impact on the Patriots.
I think he set the record for amount of times you could rewind a play. I remember those meetings, just sitting there. It's one time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. If he walked into your office right now and he saw everything and how it's drawn up on the whiteboard offensively, would he instantaneously understand all the concepts with the offense?
Oh, I think he would, yeah. I think the terminology that we have now came from New England through the Giants. Maybe took a turn out to Cleveland and then, came back to New England again. But very, very similar to what we've done terminology-wise. What we do now is very similar to what he learned when he was with the Patriots before he went to San Diego and the Giants. So, it's... that's foundation for it.
All right, touch on the Rams real quick here. Fair to say, not to pin it on just one thing, but 4 trips into the red zone, you guys only come out with 3 points. Can't really have that formula if you want to win football games, right?
Right. Well, we couldn't score enough points. We had 2 bad drives defensively. One at the start of the game, one at the start of the second half. And just in general, we weren't able to make enough plays. In the end, it just wasn't enough.
Another young quarterback comes in. It's Tua. You obviously studied him on film last couple weeks. What do you see with him as far as poise? You faced some rookie quarterbacks already this year. He gets rid of the ball pretty quickly. Doesn't take a lot of hits back there. He's only had 1 interception, and he can certainly move and is athletic in the pocket, and really has a pretty good level of experience. With his time in the SEC, and then this year he had half a season to really digest the offense, and you can see he's developing a good presence on the field and rapport with his receivers and his other teammates. All right, time now for the Twitter question of the week, and it comes from @NickRiley117. Wants to ask you about the balance juggling of how you approach week 1. 200 yards rushing, Cam had 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. How much do you think that they will potentially try to adjust for that, and what's that delicate balance as you guys try to formulate that offensive game plan?
Well, I'm sure they'll make some adjustments for it. I think that Cam's runs and production in the first game was a big factor in the game, so I'm sure they'll have some adjustments for that. We've anticipated that all year, and I don't think we're going to get exactly what we got in the first game. I think they'll make some changes off that.
Okay, if you want to ask Coach Belichick a question, you have to follow the team on Twitter, @Patriots, hashtag it, AskBB. Coach Belestrator, I know they got some pretty good defensive players. Take a look at that.
Yeah, well, Xavier Howard, leading the league with interceptions with 9, so he's had an outstanding year.
All right, we'll take the Belestrator later in the show, but first, more Patriots All Access. We'll return right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
Down, fired, intercepted, touchdown, Teddy Bruschi.
We'll look back at a magical moment in Gillette Stadium history. And later, the Dolphins defense is spotlighted on the Belestrator.
With very good hands, and he takes advantage of all those interception opportunities.
Wow.
So he really goes up for the ball there and makes a great play on it. So
you're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. By the Dan O'Brien Auto Group. Come in to any Dan O'Brien Auto Group store today and get your awesome protection plan, keeping it awesome. And by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots.
He's one of the most respected people in the entire Patriots organization, as well as one of the longest tenured. He's been content to stay in the background, while the team has enjoyed unparalleled success over the last 20 years. In the latest installment of Behind the Scenes presented by Bose, we present part 1 of our Ernie Adams profile.
That's probably just something I've always done. You take a good book, dig into. Oh, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. It's fun, and you just keep going with it. I mean, I've had a book going on a constant basis, for the last 60 years. And during the season, there are days I may get to read 2 pages. Okay, Wednesday and Thursday during the season, that's about what it comes to. 2, maybe if I'm lucky, 3 pages. But you keep, if that's 2-3 pages, that's 2-3 pages closer to the end.
One book in particular sparked an interest in Adams that has lasted a lifetime.
We were classmates at Phillips Academy at Andover. It's boarding school. I knew who Bill was because I had read his dad's book, which I think probably caught Bill a little bit off guard.
So we both played on the offensive line, actually played next to each other. I was a center and he was a guard. And, we met and kind of got to know each other there. But, he mentioned that he had read my dad's book, which not too many people had. It was really a very technical book and a coaching book. So he mentioned that very, very early. It might have been our first meeting.
Football is on the one hand, it's a simple game. I mean, it's 2 acres and a ball. On the other hand, it can get fairly intricate, a lot of tactics involved. And some people, like me, you get hooked on it.
After graduation from Northwestern, Adams set out for a career in the NFL in his home state.
Very convenient for me, being from Boston, that Chuck Fairbanks was willing to give me a chance. And Chuck had, of course, coached at the University of Oklahoma, where he had a lot of graduate assistants. He understood the concept, of having a young guy to do the grunt work. It was an accelerated master's and PhD program in football, working with, one of the best coaching staffs I've ever seen. Charlie Sumner, Larry Weaver, John Polonchek, Ray Perkins. I mean, Hank Bulla was a great defensive coach. And for 4 years, we're socially distanced here for COVID, probably about 10 to 12 feet away from, my desk was right across from Henry's about the same distance. So I started off, sitting like this with, one of the best defensive coaches in football. I mean, if you really want to learn the game, that's a great way to do it.
You know, Coach Fairbanks knew good players. He knew good coaches. You look at the Red Millers and Ray Perkins and Raymond Berries and the Hank Bullas and all these guys who later became head football coaches in the NFL. I think Coach Fairbanks said, or saw something in Ernie, said, this team can be better with Ernie Adams around. I want him around.
The way the program evolved, every day at practice, we schedule a practice for every group of players right down to the minute. The board that we used, the format that we used with Coach Fairbanks in 1975 is exactly the same as we use today. If Hank Bulla came onto our team right now, he would absolutely instantly recognize the way we called defenses. Coach Fairbanks was an organizational expert, and he never said no. He said, if you can do that, go ahead and do it. You can do it over here, so and that really flows through to what we've done at the Patriots in the last 20 years. We don't put people in little boxes. If you can do something and help, great, do it.
In the 70s, the two kids who met at Andover would finally work together at the New York Giants. When Coach Belichick left to take the job in Cleveland, Ernie went with him. When Belichick was let go, Ernie turned to the financial world. But football would never be too far away.
Even when I was working on Wall Street, I would, if the Giants were playing at home, I was going to the Giants game. It's the kind of thing, once it's in your blood, it's always there.
It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Bill Belichick.
Looked like a great opportunity. And that's all it is, it's an opportunity. The odds are when you're hired at a pro football team, the odds are it's not going to work out.
On page 54 of the Patriots Media Guide, Adams is listed as Football Research Director, a simple title that belies a much more complex role.
There's a ton of value and, a person that I like to, bounce things off of, or, he'll make suggestions and give me ideas of things that, we might have overlooked. I rely on him a lot, but, so do a lot of the coaches on the staff. They have a question or it's a situation that comes up in those kind of areas. He's really the guy we go to for the answers.
But it's a lot different than what we played in last week. This is definitely going to affect the game.
I got a great job. Basically, the way Bill put it to me when I started was you figure out what you can do to help us win and do it. I say if that's running minimal, really controlled reps, if that's going to set him back,
we're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
So my job since I've been here, it's encompassed the full range, coaching, working on the draft, starting off how we're going to handle salary cap when the cap came in. I had a chance to put my fingers in a lot of pies, and hopefully I haven't messed them up.
Next week, we continue our profile of Adams.
How do you think we're looking here, Ernie?
Good job running the routes.
Who traces a moment from 3 decades ago that helped New England to one of the franchise's most memorable victories.
We were playing at the Giants. Late in the season, 1981, we had a game with the Rams. We got to get a stop on defense or the game's over.
A fitting, memorable moment, given the weather conditions this week in New England. 17 years ago, when the Patriots and Dolphins met in December, snow was the main theme of the game. Points were at a premium. A dominant Patriots defense shut out the South Floridians, as well as provided the only touchdown of the day.
Intercepted, touchdown, Teddy Bruschi!
setting off one of the greatest, most spontaneous moments in Gillette Stadium history.
Newton takes the snap. He's going to run it to the right, cuts it upfield, and he waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots! To throw to the end zone, intercepted by J.C. Jackson. He picks it off with a throw intended for Gesicki, the tight end.
All right, you know the drill. It's time for our opponent spotlight. It's a familiar guest. It's Jimmy Cephalo of the Miami Dolphins to preview the matchup. Jimmy, a lot's changed in Miami since the last time we talked in week 1, but specifically the quarterback position. How have you seen Tua grow?
All right, it's Tua time, and he has grown greatly. And when you describe Tua, it's hard. It's difficult because he's got it, and I'm not sure what it is. And you'll only know it when you see it. And that's Tua. He's not a big guy. He doesn't seem to be doing a lot, but he throws people open. He anticipates extraordinarily well. He makes all the right reads, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got 1 interception and 9 touchdowns.
Jimmy, we all know what happened last year in Week 17 when the Patriots and the Dolphins played each other. The Dolphins spoiled the Patriots' playoff bye. Can the Patriots this year play spoiler to the Dolphins like the Dolphins did to the Patriots last season?
Well, they can. When anything that Bill Belichick does, it's always a possibility of a win. I don't care what record they have. I mean, it's always a spectacularly coached team. But the Dolphins are on the outside looking in, too. Even though right now they've got a playoff spot, they've got to win all 3 of their games to ensure themselves of a playoff spot. I think it's just a building team. And the Dolphins have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds next year again. So they're going to add 4 more big pieces to this puzzle. And I think next year at this time, Megan, you and I will have a different conversation about the Dolphins and where they are.
Those Dolphins aren't going away, and the Patriots will have their hands full down in Miami this weekend. Thanks so much for the time, Jimmy.
Megan, a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Time now for the Belestrator, and like Coach said earlier in the program, Xavier Howard, very good corners. Coach, we're going to start taking a look at him right here.
Right. Well, he leads the NFL with 9 interceptions. This is Xavier Howard down here at the bottom, and you can see his anticipation on this play. He really, almost runs the route before the receiver gets into his break, and gets a good break on the ball, undercuts it, and picks it off. So, he's a very dangerous guy for us. Those 9 interceptions, we're going to have to be careful. And know where he is when the ball leaves our hands in the passing game. Here's another play where he's matched up on Tyreek Hill, and this is really an outstanding play. Hill runs deep against press coverage, which is what they do a lot of, what the Chiefs do a lot of, as we know. And see Howard really go up here, high point the ball, really catch it with one hand, and bring it right down into his chest. We'll look at the same play here from the end zone. But this just gives you an idea of the type of athletic ability and ball skills that Howard has. And he's got very good hands, and he takes advantage of all those interception opportunities.
So that's pretty much a man concept there. We saw him on the outside first play, and then kick him in slot to match him up on Tyreek Hill, right? Yeah. Wow.
So he really goes up for the ball there, and makes a great play on it. So,
all right, and there's the back end. Then you got to worry about the front end, with the pass rush, the strip sacks, and everything that they do up front.
Yeah, they again lead the league with 25 turnovers, and it's not just the turnovers. It's plays like this that go for a strip sack and 85 yards, scoop and score for a touchdown. So they hit that one against the Rams, and then against the Cardinals, similar situation. They're in a blitz look here, and Murray tries to scramble out of the pocket, away from the rush, and the Dolphins get him, knock the ball off him. another 35 yards, who can score for a touchdown.
A pretty athletic front.
So, yeah, athletic, fast, and again, it's not just the turnovers; it's the turnovers plus the, some of the return yardage they've had on interceptions and strip sacks and that kind of thing. So, nothing more important than ball security this week, Scott.
All right, Coach. Good luck. Good to be back in the division. I know you had a lot of success down there last year. Hope to duplicate that again.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you.
All right, there you go. There's your Belestrator. More Patriots All Access will return right after this.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access in our Bob's Discount Furniture Studios. Back with Mike Reese and Paul Perillo. Cam Newton. Belichick is sticking with Cam Newton. Only 3 games left. Why is Bill so steadfast in sticking with Cam?
Yeah, he was pretty strong, and I was a little surprised that he was that strong about it. But you sort of look at some of the different factors that might be involved, and I think there are probably a lot of layers to this, Mike, that most of which we don't really know about. But I just wonder, if you look at the state of the offense, it's really struggled all year. Do you want to put a young quarterback in a situation where he's really asked to do so much? And Cam's a big boy. I think he's handled the slings and arrows pretty well. Maybe he worries about the impact it might have on a young, inexperienced quarterback.
And I would add that offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels was also strong on it. He said that Cam has certainly been their best option all year. And I look at it and I think what Paul said, there was one part of what you said that I like. He said, we don't know everything that's happening behind the scenes. And I think the idea of the leadership that Cam has sort of taken within the team, I think to take him out now, perhaps, and I'm only hypothesizing here, there's a thought process from Bill Belichick that if I yank him now, I'm sort of sending a message to my leaders, that wouldn't be productive in the big picture from a culture standpoint, and maybe that is driving the decision.
But weren't they so high on Jarrett Stidham before the season started? And what happened?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's another one with a lot of layers that we probably don't know all the details of. And it certainly seemed in the offseason before Cam arrived, Mike, Jarrett Stidham, they were very comfortable going into the season with him. Maybe something changed. Maybe it was just the opportunity that they had to get a veteran like Cam Newton, and they decided it's not going to hurt to give Stidham a little bit more time to develop. I wish I had a more concrete answer for you, Steve, but I really don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes with Stidham. All I know is they had a chance to get Cam Newton, and they went for it.
All offseason, I was talking about it myself, that it looked like this Jarrett Stidham, this was his time. They didn't draft anyone in the draft. I thought that was a positive sign for him. He was out there with Brian Hoyer arranging some of these players-only practices, and I'm out there talking. Like, it looks like Jarrett Stidham's got a great chance here. Focusing on the facts we know. Remember, that 4th day of training camp, if I recall, Paul, he went for tests to a Boston hospital after that practice on his leg. And ever since that point, it was a different situation for him. And I didn't think up to that point he did much to make you say that that's going to be his job. But that's the facts that we know, that because we saw him with our own eyes.
All right, what do we need to see going forward against the Miami Dolphins?
I would just say, this is an opportunity, I think, for them to go out and really spoil Miami's season. Much like, again, we talked about it earlier, much like that happened here in Foxborough in the last week 17 last year. And I'd like to see that kind of a performance. The Dolphins, I think they're ripe. I think the Dolphins are really good. I think their roster, I think Brian Flores is doing a fantastic job. They are very banged up. They're missing a lot of skill position guys. No running backs, really no wide receivers. Devontae Parker might be the only one who's probably going to play, and he's got a bad leg, a bad hamstring. Mike, this is an offense that's really without all its weapons.
You know that saying, it's not just who you play, but it's when you play them. Yeah. I think this is a good spot for the Patriots on the when. They're coming off a game against the Chiefs, the Dolphins are, where they actually fought hard and they played well, but they lose, they're banged up. And now they get the Patriots fighting for their season coming in.
Belichick against the rookie quarterbacks has usually been a recipe for disaster for the rookie quarterback. I think that continues.
9 straight victories for the Patriots over rookie quarterbacks. The last rookie quarterback to beat the Patriots, Geno Smith, in 2013 with the Jets.
I had no doubt that Mike would know the numbers.
That's pretty impressive right now.
Absolutely.
All right, so give me numbers as far as the score.
I'm going to go 16-13. Tight, a lot of field goals, and I think the Patriots find a way to hold on in the end.
Patriots know they're better than what they showed against the Rams. They get it 20-14.
So the playoff hopes are still alive then?
Barely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much. There's a chance. That'll do it for this week's edition of Patriots All Access. For Mike Reese and Paul Perillo, I'm Steve Burton. Have a great week, everybody, and happy holidays.